Hey, one more thing before you go. In this episode, we're going to have a conversation with a woman that lost her husband of 30 years. And instead of wallowing in grief, she made a choice not to do just that. And she reinvented her life, dedicating it to helping widowed people move forward through life again in a very positive way. In this episode, we're going to learn a unique 7-step program to healing after loss, help widowed people embrace, enrich, and enjoy their lives once more, and transform your life back to one of laughter and wellness. And of course, finding love again, because we all need love in our lives. I'm your host, Michael Hurst, and this is The Thing About Life After Widowhood. My guest in this episode is Marie Scott. She's an author, a keynote speaker, and a functional medicinal health coach. She's on a mission to help widows and widowers rediscover how to live well, laugh more, and even find love again, which can be done. Using a unique 7-step program to healing after loss, she helps widowed people to embrace, enrich, and enjoy their lives once more after she lost her husband of 30 years. We're going to learn the secrets to success as you move through the depths of grief and or have been consumed by a devastating circumstance, instantaneous loss, or one that's taking the long goodbye. But it gives you an opportunity to help heal. So Marie is going to help us to understand how to transform your life back to one of laughter and wellness and rebuild your life, giving us a roadmap to success, along with the permission you deserve to navigate out of the vortex of grief. Welcome to the show, Marie.
Thank you, Michael. Pleasure to be here.
Oh, I'm absolutely wonderful that you are here. I am so happy that you're going to share these unique opportunity for people to kind of understand that they've still got a life after loss and that you can help them move forward in a life in a very, very, very positive way.
Thank you.
I know we talked a little bit before the show got kind of started, before we started recording, but I would like to unfold your life just a little bit. So if we can start at the beginning, I think that would be great. Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Rochester, New York, and was the middle child of 8 siblings. And so there were 10 of us in a 1,000 square foot house. And, never dreamed that you look back on that and you think, wow, there were 10 of us in that house. And we had only 3 bedrooms. Of course, mom and dad had one of them. And the girls in one room and the boys in the other with one shower. So I can't remember how we survived getting to school every day. And dinner every night was served at 5 o'clock on the dot. And mom is still in all of us a love of cooking. And so we had a very, very wonderful growing up in that household. And of course, as the family expanded, there were like 24 all of a sudden for sit-down dinners on Sunday, every single Sunday.
That's amazing. I mean, I have a brother and a sister. I can't imagine fighting for the shower with that many, especially boys and girls. So at least girls can share the bathroom a little bit, right?
Yeah, well, supposedly.
Supposedly. Yeah. Well, I guess my daughters did fight for the bathroom in the mornings and stuff. One was taking too long. One was not, makes sense, I guess. So did you, you go to college, go to university?
So I did. I put myself through school with 8 kids. There was no money in the budget for college. But when I joined Xerox and after that, Information Associates, I actually got part of their tuition reimbursement program and I went back to school. So within 4 years, I graduated with my associate's degree, working full time and traveling, and graduated with my associate's degree in human resource. Back then it was called personnel. And it started my career in human capital management, as it's called today, and had an incredible 30 years with Oracle, a great career traveling around the world and teaching and helping and consulting, and also on the sales side, helping large organizations figure out their technology issues with business process reengineering and, state-of-the-art software. So that was my career. And then when I was 50, I decided to go back to school and get my bachelor's degree just because.
That's a good age to go back. I went back at 50.
Yeah, just because. And I thought, it's a bucket list. I'm going to finish this. And so my neighbor, Terry, said to me, she goes, "Are you going to graduation in Saratoga Springs?" I said, "Absolutely." She goes, "You're going to be the highest paid graduate in that line." I said, "It doesn't matter. I was there." It was amazing.
That's cool. Congratulations on that journey. That's pretty cool. Yeah, it's kind of interesting when we go back to school at that age because of all the young people look at us like, what are you doing here? Are you spying on somebody, one of your kids, or what? I got that at ASU when I went back. I was 51 years old. The oldest one in the class, actually. But it has advantages, too, because they all, it's got advantages. It's got advantages.
Yeah.
So where'd you meet your husband?
So I was going to learn how to ski in Grey Rocks, Quebec. And I lived in Rochester, had a lovely little house on Shady Way. And so I was playing a train and automobile to get up to Grey Rocks because I missed the bus. So anyway, I finally get there at 2:00 in the morning. Didn't impress my roommates very much at all. And I noticed this guy dancing every single night with every single woman. We finally connected and then last night, and first thing he said to me was, "Well, I've worn out every woman that I've danced with this week. I've worn them out." And it's like, "Well, perhaps you asked the wrong person." So anyway, that's how Dave and I met on the dance floor at Grey Rocks. I was learning how to ski, and he was a patroller and also a ski instructor. So it was an incredible meeting. It was the best winter of my life after we met, and it was an amazing connection. My soulmate for 30 years, and we had a wonderful life together.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool story. That's a cool story. A lot of people just have the blasé stories. I met my wife in a restaurant. Just a restaurant. That's all it was a restaurant. But I went back every night after shift. See, she thought I was stalking her, which I guess if you look back on that, in a good way though.
Yes.
In a good way. So your husband, do you have any kids?
No kids, no pets, fake plants.
Fake.
So we were able to just travel. He would travel with me when he retired from the fire department, and we would just travel. We'd pack up the truck and just hit the coast up and down from Toronto right down to Florida and be gone a month or two. So it was amazing. Yeah, great adventure.
That makes life kind of interesting when you get to do that a lot, especially like that. So he said he was a firefighter. Was he a firefighter where was he a firefighter? Let me speak in English.
So he was a captain on the fire department in Mississauga, which is right outside of Toronto. So when you fly into Toronto, you're actually flying into the airport that he served, the Mississauga airport.
So did you live in Canada for a little while then?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you met him in Canada. He was a ski patrol. And then, very cool, actually. So as a firefighter in Canada up there, you said that he died. Tell me about that journey. How did that come about? Was it work related? Was it instantaneous? Was it an on the job type situation?
When Dave hit 50, he was able to retire, full retirement. And it was interesting because he said he didn't feel lucky anymore. Between the babies dying in his arms and rolling garage collapses and nursing home fires, he had an amazing career. But when he said he didn't feel lucky anymore, the chief took him aside and said, "Okay, you're on light duty," and almost like KP duty. And Dave retired at 50. And so after that, we moved to South Carolina, Summerville, South Carolina. And one of the things I'm most grateful about is he had 20 years of an incredible retirement. I still worked because I was still having fun and traveling. And he golfed 3 to 5 times a week. And all the guys wanted to know how they could get a gig like that. So in October, we had just moved into a new house. And in October, he comes out of the bedroom and says, "Honey, you need to take me to the hospital. I think I'm having a heart attack." And it's like, "Honey, I'm not taking you to the hospital. We're calling an ambulance." And he goes, no, I don't think it's, being a firefighter and triaging and knowing, what's going on. He said, I don't think it's that serious. So anyway, that began a 6-month journey of trying to figure out what's going on. And it wasn't a heart attack, but he described it as food getting stuck. He couldn't swallow. And it was finally diagnosed in November and December with esophageal cancer. And that's considered the firefighter's cancer because of all the toxins and the smoke that they inhale over their career. And of course, when Dave started, they didn't wear breathing masks. They weren't invented yet. So, and I remember one time I found this piece of laundry. It looked like a hood. And it was in the laundry, and I put it, and I said, oh my God, I'm traveling so much. Dave has taken to robbing banks. And it was really his no-necks hood. So that's another thing they changed in the fire department. Laundry doesn't ever go home anymore. So Dave died in April of 2018, almost 4 years ago.
Wow, that's so you guys have been married for 30 years, right?
Yeah.
In that
5 months short of 30 years.
5 months short of 30 years. What kind of and I say this delicately, when you got that diagnosis, what did you feel like?
So as time progressed, we talked about everything under the sun. And as time progressed, the outpouring of love between us was incredible. Never, always in the moment, never. Only one time did I say, because he couldn't eat after a while. Only one time did I say, being the good Italian wife, you got to eat, you got to eat. And I regretted it as soon as the words came out. But when we first found out, we were devastated. And Dave said, when we went to the oncologist, it was a process you go through, right? Mm-hmm. First you see the surgeon, then you have the endoscopy, then you see if they can cut it out, and then you get a second opinion, and then it's chemo. Everybody said that except Dave. He put his foot down and said, no, if there's no chance for a cure, I'm not going through this. I want quality of life, not quantity. And so the surgeon in Sloan Kettering said, you must cut the tumor out. You must cut it out. And it was for 6 additional months. And he said, why? And she said, so you can eat. And he said, well, with chemo, I'm not going to want to eat anyway. So why prolong the agony? And it's horrific with no chance. The protocol was horrific with no chance of a cure. I'm sorry that he had to go through that, especially giving his life for others in service of the community in regard to that. And esophageal cancer is not a pleasant thing anyway for anyone. My father died of esophageal cancer, so I understand. Wow,
what you have gone through. So, did you guys make the theoretical bucket list to get everything done?
You know what was really cool about that, Michael? We didn't have a bucket list because we had lived life to the fullest through our entire 30 years together. Mm. We traveled the world. We went on, fabulous cruises to Baltic capitals and Rome, and we just had an amazing time. There's one thing left on his bucket list, because that's one thing we talked about. And I said, honey, is there anything, on your bucket list? He said, yes, flying lessons. I always wanted to take flying lessons. Mm-hmm. So for his last birthday, we had a huge party, and I made that happen. I got him flying lessons.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. It's ironic because I know other cops and firefighters that love to fly.
Wow.
That's ironic. That's pretty cool, actually. That would be on my bucket list. I'm going to have to put that on my bucket list. I'm going to have to borrow that. Do you think he'd mind?
No.
So how did you guys prepare? Because obviously, we have, as I said earlier in the thing, we have the short goodbye, where somebody walks out the door and you get to say goodbye and I love you or whatever, and then something happens and they never come home. And then you have what we call the long goodbye, which is something like cancer or dementia or something that takes somebody slowly, and that the inevitable comes at some point in your life. How did that affect you? You guys, both of you, actually.
Yeah, we had, we always went to Florida around Christmas, around the holidays, either Florida or Hawaii. We had a timeshare, both places. And so we were, we just gotten the awful diagnosis. We learned all about the chemo protocol and and Dave said to me, said, honey, let's go on vacation. Let's do this. Let's go to Florida. And I said, are you sure? Are you sure? But what's the alternative really? Stay home and, be sad or go to a beautiful place. And that week in Florida, in Orlando, we talked about everything under the sun. And it was almost as if he wanted to cross all the T's and dot all the I's. And we talked about everything. And Dave had gone through 4 brain surgeries, 2 knee replacements, and 2 hip replacements. So we really felt that he would just kick cancer's butt, knowing everything that he had gone through. So we went to Florida, and he had already made the decision to not go through chemo. And I'm so happy that he made that decision entirely on his own. And we get back, and there were 15 messages on the phone. There's, come, let's get your port. Come, financial, make sure you can pay for this, because chemo is a huge business. Come get the pre-work done, blood work. And we hadn't even told them yet that we weren't going down the path of chemo. So we drove to that meeting the next day, feeling like we were going to a funeral. And we got through that. And that was the last time we saw the oncologist, interesting enough. So that was a process we went through. And then every single morning you wake up and say, good morning, beautiful. And then he would say, I feel terrific, until he didn't, which is about 2 weeks before he finally died. And just watching him, caring for him, about a month before he passed away, he couldn't keep anything down. So I'd follow him around with these little plastic cups that I keep cleaning out. I'd swap out 2. In fact, you try to find humor, right? And we walked into the bank manager to get the accounts straightened up, and Dave said, I hope you don't mind if I get sick. And the bank manager almost bolted from her seat. And it's like, no, honey, this is not something you can catch. So it was, moments of laughter, moments of he was more worried about how I was going to handle life after than he was about his imminent mortality. And Michael, I don't know how they know, but it was exactly 6 months after he was diagnosed that he passed away.
Yeah, I think that when I say this, I mean, this is your story, and I respect that. But I have to say, with cancer, it's unfortunate that they have the ability to kind of give you that diagnosis and say it's going to be a specific time, knowing the progression of that cancer without being able to stop it. It's sad, and it hopefully one day they can change that, I think, because it's a benefit knowing to a specific point, but at the same time, it also gives you a deadline. And you guys seem to have made the best of that deadline.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. So when he passed, you again took the long goodbye, but you got the opportunity to do and say what you wanted to say before he left, which is always a good thing. Not everybody has that opportunity or doesn't take that opportunity when they do have it. Did that help you to grieve a little bit better once he was gone?
Yeah, I remember the morning he passed away. So he really took a turn for worse on the Saturday. And that Saturday, it was like the universe rallied and said, let's go see Dave. Let's go see Dave. Food was coming over and visits on the porch, and neighbors and friends would call out of the blue. And the next morning, he took his last breath in my arms. And I remember saying to him, it's okay, honey, I'll be all right. But I lied. And there was nothing between us left unsaid. No lack of affection or love. There was nothing left unsaid. No regrets. And in fact, my therapist, who I met about 6 months after, she said to me, the most profound thing she said, do you have any regrets? And I said, no, Kathy, I have no regrets whatsoever. No, nothing was left unsaid. We lived life to the fullest to the last day.
That's a good thing. That's a very positive thing. I'm glad that you got to do that. At what point past that did you decide to, as you put it, rebuild your life part 2?
Yeah, so I was lying on the floor. I did that a lot. I started to try and meditate and, try to figure out what happened. It's like, getting hit by a semi-tractor trailer. And I would find myself lying on the floor a lot, just looking up at the skies and, the ceiling thinking, now what? Now who do I take care of? And the answer came back quickly, you silly. No, I thought I was healthy. I thought I was fit. I was fit. We walked the golf course every week. I was walking with friends. I worked out with a trainer for 7 years, but I was not healthy. And I tore my rotator cuff and about a year before Dave died, and discovered this world of functional medicine. So when they first took a family history, they uncovered all of this autoimmune diseases running through my family, including me. I was diagnosed with autoimmune hepatitis, which I had to go ask Dr. Google what that was. And my brother died of ALS, which is an autoimmune disease, and I didn't know that. My sister's got Graves, my brother's hypothyroid, all these autoimmune diseases running rampant through the family. So I discovered the Living Proof Institute up in Toronto, and I booked a flight, flew up to Toronto, and they put me on what they call the Essentials program. And Michael, within 6 weeks, I eliminated all the medications I was on, including blood pressure, antidepressant, because that's what they give to a widow first thing, sleeping pills, because that's the second thing they give to you. I was pre-diabetic. I was on metformin, all estrogen for hormone replacement, on all these meds. And I was 30 pounds overweight. So within 6 weeks of being on this Essentials program and just changing my food preferences, I changed my health. I transformed my health. I lost 30 pounds in 6 weeks. I lost the widow fog. It's a very real thing. I lost the widow fog. My energy was through the roof. And so far, I've been like that for the past 3 years since I adopted that way of eating.
Yeah, it's interesting. I using diet, people don't understand or really understand how diet can really affect your health in a positive or negative way. So taking that opportunity, I think you look great. For those that are listening to the podcast, she looks great. She's vibrant. She's got great glow in her skin, and you're smiling and you're happy and you look good, and it shows.
Thank you, Michael.
Absolutely. It's, changing. I use diet, which people used to laugh at me for, to manage my rheumatoid arthritis, which is also an autoimmune disease.
Yes.
So I respect your journey because, I've taken it myself and I can validate that it works. I think that's a really good move on your perspective to move that and to get rid of all of those drugs. And from that perspective, from that angle, in itself is a wonderful thing because I think our bodies become too dependent.
Definitely on sugar, processed foods. It's called the Doritos effect. But yeah, your body absolutely does. I mean, they made the Italian girl give up tomatoes and pasta. So it was, and I thought 6 weeks, you can do anything for 6 weeks. And it was a complete health transformation. And that led to the first step in healing, which is food is medicine. Absolutely. And Hippocrates said that food as medicine. It's so, so important.
Well, we got to talk about pasta when we get done here. I've got a secret for you. I grew up with my sister my sister is my half sister. She's Italian and she was married to a Roman, literally from Rome. And his grandmother taught my sister to cook. And I got fat. For a while. It was good. But medicine is, food is medicine. I agree with it. That's part of you have a unique 7-step program to healing and helping people through the process of grief and as well, because you, from what I've read from you and read in part of your book, I'll be honest with you, I haven't read the whole thing yet. Clearing out the body, cleaning out the body helps mind, body, soul. You call mind, body, spirit, mind, body, soul, helps us to manage our grief, manage our loss, get competency, correct?
It does, yes. And I decided to go back to school to become a functional medicine health coach. And through that process, it helped me articulate the 7 steps. And what that did, it not only helped me get over the devastating grief of losing Dave, but also my mother the same year. And the steps aren't rocket science, but really, widows and widowers would just love the roadmap to say, okay, what do I do now? First, change your food preferences, because then you'll feel better. Because if you don't eat well, you're going to feel like crap, and then you're not going to want to live or embrace life again. So that's kind of how the 7 steps came about.
And how long did it take you after you lost him for you to kind of start formulating this? Did you go through the standard? When I say standard, I use that term loosely, the standard grieving period, even though you knew and expected it?
Yeah, so it's called the 5 stages of grief, right? Mm-hmm. And so anger, depression. So everybody processes grief differently. I was just had this tremendous hole in my heart where, this larger than life presence was. So feeling that was the most difficult thing. And the key thing for me was finding new purpose. So I went back to school thinking, I just want to learn more about nutrition. And because everybody knows the link between cancer and food, it's, sugar feeds cancer, period. Mm-hmm. And processed foods. And then losing my mom to Alzheimer's, there's a link between food and Alzheimer's. The aluminum pots we grew up with and things like that. So I thought I was just going to learn about nutrition. And I started journaling, which is very therapeutic for me. I always loved to write. And the journal was made up of airplane napkins and Post-it notes and, handwritten. And one day, through meditation, the 12 chapters came to me. And so over 3 years, I finally decided this is a book. And so when I went back to school and I was being coached, and they said, you got to finish the book because that's the key to everything else. Finish the book.
And the book was born.
The book was born.
The book was born. I had a screenshot of it here a few minutes ago, but what's the title of the book?
The book is called How I Found Meaning and Humor in Widowhood, Firehouses, and Organic Vegetables. And the subtitle is The 7 Steps to Healing After Loss.
Yeah, and it's excuse me. So we have the first step is that. So, well, I think without taking anything away, the first step is to think about yourself. And from that perspective, because I think a lot of people, at least what I have in my experience on the job, was people stop eating and people don't take care of themselves, or they eat fast food because they're grieving and because they either don't want to take the time to cook, they don't want to take the time to clean, and so forth. But it's relatively simple, I guess, to kind of get into a habit, even though you're going through this process.
Yes. And I realized it quite quickly because a lot of women say, it's just me, I won't cook. Or the kids have left, I won't cook. But I realized that if I didn't cook, I cooked my whole life with Dave. Every night I was home and he was off shift, I'd cook dinner, great, I thought healthy meals, but not so healthy. But I learned that if I didn't cook for myself, I was not going to feel well. So I had to change that, break that habit. And so the first time I went to the supermarket and bought 1 steak, 1 piece of salmon, 1 chicken breast, I was in tears. I was sobbing because it was just another transition you had to go through from cooking for 2 to 1. And then I gave myself a mindset shift and said, look, so you're cooking for 1, just think of it as cooking for 2, but you got leftovers. So that became a way of life because we always loved leftovers, and that remains to this day.
I still love leftovers.
When you cook, you got to have leftovers. Maybe it's the Italian in me.
It's the Italian thing. Exactly. It's the Italian thing. Always got to have leftover. My wife loves the leftover. We make gluten-free pasta. And homemade gluten-free pasta. So she, that's what we'll have to have a conversation when this is over. She loves it. And she says she cries at the last bite, but we always have stuff left over because I put it in the fridge right away, see? So we don't eat it right then. See, it kind of works. So on your 7-step program to healing, you talk about the importance of embracing grief through the transformation or transformative powers of laughter. And I know we talked about that a little bit ago. You got to be able to laugh again, and you got to be able to live again. Live, laugh, love, right?
Yes, exactly. And Michael, the first time I laughed out loud, I had to do a double take because I thought, what is that noise? Because the first 6, 7 months is just all consuming, this cloud over your head. And the first time I laughed is like, wow. And we had laughter in our lives every single day. And I found the same thing again with Jeff. And that laughter is so important because it makes you feel good. It makes you more attractive, for one thing. It makes you feel better, and it helps lift the widow thought. Tremendous thing to do while grieving. There are tears, but you have to let the laughter in. Whether it's watching a funny movie or calling up a funny friend, everybody's got funny friends, or your funny brother. You got to have laughter back in your life.
I agree with that. And I think that, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but the grieving process doesn't necessarily follow a pattern that is going to be over in 3 days. It's going to be over in 5 days. It's going to be over in 7 days, and then it's done. Each one is unique. Each person that loses somebody, that grieving process is unique, correct?
Correct. And Michael, you said it in what you've done. There's the sudden death that you have no time to prepare for. And I know widows that have lost their spouses at an early age. And that's devastating, because especially when there's children involved. So there's a different kind of process for that kind of death. And for me, I had 6 months to come to terms, even though I knew we were hoping for a miracle that would just go away. And so different kind of grieving process depending on the situation as well.
Yeah, I attest to that fact as well. We've had a lot of family members that died of cancer, and it was a slow process. And even though you expect it, it's still unexpected when it happens, because you kind of, like you said, you always hope for a miracle to come through. And sometimes it happens, sometimes it does not. And when it doesn't, it still floors us for a while, and which will never really quite compare. Something, if you don't mind me touching upon, when you had mentioned after you got done, who am I going to take care of, was one of your first thoughts. Yeah. So do you think that people who have taken care of somebody get into that quote, I can't do quotes because of my rheumatoid, quote, caretaker mode in lieu of like the husband and wife mode, and that kind of sticks with them?
Yeah, I've thought about that often, and I think being a caregiver and a giver, I helped my mom for 10 years before she passed, and my dad, and I was always a giver, and being the middle child made you the mediator as well. So, you get those 3 a.m. phone calls, you know what your father did? So always been a caregiver. And so when that was over, it was like, now what? And then I started taking care of myself, and it was life-changing.
Yeah, I think a lot of people who are in that position don't take the time to take care of themselves, or they forget to take care of themselves. Even while they're caretaking, they forget to take care of themselves, not because they're selfish, because they're selfless. They're in the process of taking care of somebody. So I think that we should educate people in regard to, be sure to take time for yourself. Yeah.
And it was funny when the last month, Dave couldn't keep anything down, couldn't eat anything. So I felt guilty eating in front of him. So I didn't. But, I still managed to sneak out for like a half an hour and have a sit down meal at a friend's house, and, take little breaks for myself. Right. But you're right. You forget yourself. If you're a caregiver, you forget yourself.
Yeah, it's going to get a difficult journey from there. Difficult journey. So as you put it, widowhood sucks, but it doesn't have to be forever, right?
Exactly.
So tell us about how somebody that has lost is a widow or a widower.
Yes.
Say that real fast, 3 times fast. Widow or a widower, how can they start taking control of their life again to bring it back to laughter and love and living?
Yes. And so once I healed my body and went through the coaching academy and finished the book, I decided it was time for me personally to pack up and make a change. The golf community we lived in was wonderful, wonderful friends and couples, but there's nothing left for a single person. Could never say the widowed word, but a single person. And so I decided to move to Sarasota. I had discovered it the December before, going to a black tie New Year's Eve party, and fell in love with with the Gulf Coast. We always thought we'd end up on the East Coast because we wanted to be, by the water. So anyway, I found this incredible condo that opened up. First, I had an Airbnb, and then I said to myself, Marie, what are you waiting for? There's nothing left in Somerville. Why don't you just sell your house? So I made a phone call because I knew there was a couple interested in my model. They're mad when I bought it, and they didn't get it 2 years before. So I sold my house over the phone, had great friends who helped me pack up everything and close everything down in Somerville. And I moved to Sarasota. And about 2 weeks after, I discovered this wonderful restaurant called Madison's. And I was eating dinner. My friend was supposed to come with me, but she backed out. So I thought, I'm just going to have dinner anyway. And it's a great farm to table restaurant, great meals, organic meat. So I was sitting there eating, and I was watching this guy with a big, huge grin on his face, dancing with every woman at the community table and dancing, having a blast. And I looked at him, I smiled, and he smiled, and we've been dancing ever since.
I see a pattern here, Marie.
I know.
As a trained observer, I'm a trained observer here. I see a pattern.
It was incredible. And, my friend Lee said to me, he goes, how do you rate? He goes, you have one great love of your life, and now you've got two. He goes, some of us don't get one. So it's an incredible.
They're going to follow they got to follow your footsteps. Say, this is what you do. You go to a restaurant, you watch for the person that's dancing with everybody.
and you smile.
And you smile, exactly. You smile. And enjoy your meal while you're doing it.
And I really feel that once I healed my mind, body, and spirit, my heart opened, and in walked Jeff. I never dreamed I was going to get married again. It wasn't in the plans. I just wanted someone to have adventures with and to have fun with. And
I think, unfortunately, I think that a lot of people close them off that way, that when somebody passed. My mother did that when my stepfather passed. I had a stepfather. She did it when my father passed, but then when my stepfather passed, she kind of really did it again, and she didn't want to go out. She didn't want to do anything. She kind of felt, I'm not going to find anybody again. Why should I go out? And kind of gave up. But you promote and help people and teach people how to take that step and step outside that little box and kind of reopen and reinvent our lives and do a second chapter or third chapter.
Yes, absolutely. And I've met so many widows that say, I've had the best, the heck with the rest. And a lot of widows say, I just feel stuck. And they see how my life has transformed, and say that you're such an inspiration. It's like, you can do it too. You really, really can. And I feel strongly that the 7 steps to healing is the key to helping widows and widowers get unstuck and want to embrace life again.
Yeah, I think that's a positive thing, because too many widows and widowers sit around and watch TV and don't want to step outside that box. This is what you're talking about, is kind of manifesting with velocity, as you put it, going from grief to full speed ahead on the dance floor, right?
On the dance floor.
So yeah, you got 5. You have top. Let me speak in English again. I'm having trouble here. I'm thinking about all this dancing, and I should have danced into the restaurant when I met my wife. It would be more of a memorable first meeting. Although our first Valentine's date, I have to say this out loud. Our second date was Valentine's Day, and we walked into the Italian restaurant, right? And it went to this nice, and they were run by Italians, and the little old lady Italian, Nonna. She's like, oh yeah, come over here. Best looking couple in the whole place. Come on, go sit down right here. Sit down and get us all settled up and everything. And then we could hear her, the next couple to come in. Oh, you're the best looking couple in the whole. So we felt special for a minute.
Yeah, well, that's the important thing. So, Jeff and I met in January. We've really been attached to the hip since that first week. And so I flew up to Rockland, Maine, and it was Valentine's Day. And just that morning in the condo, guess what rose up to the top of my dresser drawer? The last card Dave bought me was a Valentine's Day card.
Oh, no kidding.
Which he signed, and I wrote a blog about this, which he signed, "I love you forever and a day." And it was just incredible. I don't know if you believe in that stuff, but there have been so many signs.
Message from the other side.
Yeah, it's been amazing. So
message from the other side.
It was like almost like, yep, it's okay. Go ahead, fly up there.
Yep, definitely message from the other side. That's pretty cool, actually. Give you permission. Well, that's kind of what you do with your program. You give people permission. You allow themselves to give themselves permission to kind of move forward in life in a very good way, instead of sitting around waiting for life just to take them.
Yes.
Which is
Dave wanted me to embrace life again. And I know that, spouses and when you lose a partner, they would want the same thing. And sometimes maybe, a spouse might be evil and say, "I don't ever want you to meet anybody else." I'm sure that happens. But, Dave was more concerned about me than he was himself. And I'm sure that most spouses would want the same thing for their partners, to embrace life again.
And that shows true love. I mean, when you love somebody unconditionally, especially in regard to that. I would be devastated if I lost my wife. She would hopefully be devastated if she lost me, and knock on wood, that's not going to happen anytime soon for either one of us. But, it would be difficult to move forward and move on, because it's hard to theoretically replace that person and so forth. Right. But you teach people that the opportunity still exists for that to evolve and to present itself.
Yes. And you're never replacing that. Right. It's kind of like, it's a totally new thing. You can never replace what you had. And thinking that you can leads you to say, "I've had the best, forget the rest." So you can't think that you're replacing someone. Those memories are still there. And Jeff honors that memory. We joke, what would have happened if we would have met like 10 years before? Because he had been divorced for 10 years. And he said it wouldn't work. He goes, I wouldn't be as mature as I am now. Right. And you wouldn't be the woman you are without Dave.
Yeah, that's it. Dan, that's very healthy. That's a very healthy relationship. That's very cool. I'm glad you found that. That's outstanding. It's outstanding. Don't go into any more dance floors, for a while. Stay out of that area over there. You have 5 tips on how to live well after loss. Can you help us understand those 5 tips?
Oh, the first one is sleep. I know when Dave died, there's this empty bed, and sleep was impossible. And when you don't sleep well and you don't eat well, you don't feel well. So the sleep is something that I had to learn from podcasts and the sleep doctor, and figure out what was going to make me get a good night's sleep. Because without that, nothing was going to happen. I wouldn't want to get out of bed in the morning. And that happened many times. I just lie there in bed thinking there's no purpose for me to get out of bed, especially on the weekends. The weekends were the hardest. And I learned that sleep you can really improve your sleep by not having a TV in the bedroom. And I always had a TV in the bedroom, and having a dark bedroom, and only using the bedroom for 2 things, and that's sleep and sex. So those things about sleep really helped me get a good night's sleep finally, and be able to want to get up in the morning and, tackle the world. The second thing is food. We've talked about food. The next one, and this is funny, it's meditation. And I have had the Calm app on my phone for probably 10 years, but I only dabbled. And I thought meditation's not for me, busy head. I can't quiet the mind. But I learned that when you do something for 30 days, it becomes a habit. So I enrolled in this online program for 30 days. And every single morning I'd wake up, would get out of bed, just sit there in a chair and meditate for 20 minutes. And I will tell you that meditation has helped me overcome grief. It's the biggest benefit of just sitting with yourself, sitting with your breath. And through meditation, all of these great ideas have come up about I've got 5 books. One is a bestseller right now. I've got 2 books published and 3 more in the works. And that came through meditation. And all these ideas about how I can help widows and widowers came through meditation. So, and it can be as simple as 2 to 5 minutes. It doesn't have to be 20 minutes. It can be really short. And so I'm holding a retreat in Sarasota, actually. And that's one thing that we'll incorporate into the 5 days of healing. And it will be meditation, beach sunrise walk, because being on the beach is healthy. And being in the sun, putting your face in the sun is very healthy for you as well. And then meditation and then beach yoga. So that's going to be part of the 5 days retreat in Sarasota. And then the last one is movement, joyful movement. And movement should be fun. And I try to move 5 minutes every hour, whether it's dancing in my chair, there's that dancing thing again, or stretching, or working out with my trainer on a Zoom call, which is kind of fun. We just recorded one this morning. And there's just so many ways to move. It can be gardening or walking or yoga or dancing. So those are my tips to live well. Simple things, but a lot of times those simple things get pushed under the blanket of grief.
Those are amazing tips. I think that each one of us should follow that, whether we're going through grief or not. Those sounds like a very good 5 tips for living, laughing, and learning. So let me ask you this. What is your secret to success?
Success in love, success in life, or?
All of it.
So militant positivity. I've always had that my whole life. I brought that to the forefront when so many things changed after Dave died. Every single thing was different. And militant positivity helped me say, yes, I can become a health coach. Yes, I can launch this business. Yes, I can retire from my 30 years in technology with Oracle. Yes, I can write 3 more books. Just that militant positivity for me is my secret. Just always staying in not listening to the little guy on your shoulder saying, you can't do that. Who do you think you can write a book? And, just getting rid of that little guy on your shoulder and saying, yes, I can. Yes, I can. And I did.
Well, and you've got more coming down the line. Did you ever dream of being an author, or is that just something that came through the meditation and this is where you're at in life?
Yeah. So the book came through journaling, and through meditation, the 12 chapters came. And then after a while, it's like, wow, I've got a book here. And it was a 3-year labor of love. And I remember flinging open the balcony doors in the condo I was at and screaming out, Dave, we did it. We wrote a book. So never dreamed in a million years that this would be a total life shift for me. Never dreamed I'd be a widow either.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes life presents itself in a very unique way, and the universe presents to us a different pathway sometimes. And yours, obviously, is to help people move forward in their life after they lose somebody that have been stuck or, can't get past a certain aspect of what's taken place. And it gave you new purpose. I love the word purpose.
Yes.
I think everybody needs a purpose, and sometimes we lose what we had, or we don't understand that was the purpose that we've just found is the one we were always supposed to do.
Yes, so true. I remember when I was just trying to transform my life, I thought, how could I get to be this age and not have a purpose in life? But knowing now my purpose in life is taking care of other people. So now it's kind of the same thing, isn't it? It's helping, burning desire to help others to achieve laughter back in their life, to, develop healthy relationships, and to perhaps even find love again.
In the age of technology, that actually gave you a step up with that. If the technology wasn't available that many years ago, like it is today, that opportunity may have slipped by and now it represented itself, which is what you say about the fact that people can reinvent themselves and can move forward in life after losing somebody. They just have to be open to moving forward.
Yes, and open eyes to the surprises that might await you.
Exactly, like new love, because
I know
we can always find that. Let's talk a little bit about how to find you and your book and what you do for in your business. Because I know that you've got a the thing you just talked about is just coming up here at the 5-day retreat as well.
Yes.
But let's talk about that.
Yes. So I'm excited. I'm so excited to be able to be with, I've got 5 spots left, to be with 5 widows who want to experience 5 days of hope. And we've got an incredible week planned. We'll talk about food. We'll cook. We'll take beach walks, meditation. I've got a night planned out in Sarasota, dining and dancing. So it's going to be great fun, great reflection, great healing. And hopefully everyone will walk out of there with new bonds, because this club of widowhood is not a club anybody ever wanted to join. And being with like-minded people is incredible, because everybody gets it. Everybody gets what you're going through, depending on whatever stage you're at and how long it's been. So the 7 steps to healing will be focused on during that week at the retreat. And it's at Magical Siesta Key, which is a crystal white healing beach, one of the top in the U.S. So that's one thing. The thing I'm most excited about is my course, the 7 steps to healing. And I'm actually speaking at Camp Widow. I'm delivering a workshop in Tampa for Camp Widow. For anybody who hasn't heard of that, it's a Soaring Spirits organization. Members 30,000 strong. So I'm excited about that. And I would ask anybody to find me on Marie Scott Wellness, my website, but join my Widowhood to Wellness Facebook group, because that's a vetted group. Everybody's verified. It's a safe environment, and we're having some fun in there and sharing the 7 steps and a lot of accountability and helping each other move forward. So lots of exciting things going on. The next book is a cookbook, so I'm sharing recipes from that. It's called Cooking with a Side of Kleenex. And come join my Facebook, Widowhood to Wellness Facebook group, and become part of the community.
I'll have all that stuff on the Facebook, or excuse me, I will have all of that on the show notes and on the webpage, beforeyougo.podcast.com, so that everybody has an easy way to connect with you. I'll have your website on there, as well as how to get a hold of the book and everything else. And I was so excited about your new cookbook coming out, I got tongue-tied. Hey, what a brilliant title, too.
Yeah, and the subtitle is Cooking for 1, 2, or 20. Because if you can cook for 2, you can cook for 1. And to cook for 20 just means you need bigger pans.
Well, exactly. And again, you go back to food, what is it? Live, laugh, love, and then eat, drink, be merry.
Yes.
There's the cliches all put together all in one. And those are some Italian cliches in there. So it's all good. Marie, thank you very much for sharing your journey with me here today. I really appreciate you coming on and talking about your steps in your process and your journey to where you're getting at now. I'm so happy that you found new love again, and that I wish you guys the most success in succeeding within that love, and that it continues to grow until you grow way, 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 way old.
Yeah, so hopefully at least 100 or more.
At least 100, exactly, at least 100. This is one more thing before you go. So before we go, do you have any words of wisdom you'd like to share?
Come get unstuck. Come join the community and figure out how to march forward one step at a time.
Those are excellent words of wisdom, actually. Marie, thank you very much.
Thank you. My pleasure. Thanks, Michael.
Hey, just a real quick reminder. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for being a part of the One More Thing Before You Go family. Don't forget that you can find us on your favorite podcast platform, as well as here on YouTube. We thank you for your support and appreciate you joining us each and every week. Please remember to subscribe and/or follow us. We would greatly appreciate it. We do have an app that's available for you for free. You'll find it in the App Store or on Google Play. It is compliments of Superpass, our sponsor. Anything that you want to do with your business to take it to the next level, have an entertainment or an information hub in the palm of your hand, it's Superpass. It will give you the unique opportunity for everything. One more thing before you go. Please take the time to support us by subscribing, following, and visiting our unique merchandise store at beforeyougopodcast.shop. You'll find that link to the store in our website. It is beforeyougopodcast.shop. You can find our website at beforeyougopodcast.com. And one more thing, beforeyougO.com. You will find links to your favorite platform to listen to the show, as well as the show notes for today's episode and contact information for our guest. And we appreciate you. Thank you for supporting and listening to us each and every week.
Thanks for listening to this episode of One More Thing Before You Go, a unique conversation about life. If you like our show and want to know more, check out our website at beforeyougopodcast.com. That's beforeyougopodcast.com. Tell your story, share your expertise, contribute to the blog, and subscribe to the newsletter. You can find us as well as subscribe to the program and rate us on your favorite podcast listening platform.
And one more thing before you go. Have a nice day, have a nice week, and thanks for listening.
One More Thing Before You Go, a unique conversation about life podcast, is a creation of One More Thing Productions, established 2010, all rights reserved.